Hello, my dear students and the rest of the learners. Welcome to part 7 of 11-part series of tutorials in word processing using Microsoft Word. In this tutorial, I'm going to discuss and demonstrate on how to format a page. That is, formatting a document with our focus on the page formatting. My name is Memeji M, or you can simply call me Emily Swap. Page formatting is the process of setting the whole page in a document to look attractive and appealing to the user. The main features used in page formatting include newspaper columns, page layout, page setup, headers and footers, page borders and shading, background color or texture, footnotes, and endnotes. Let's begin by looking at newspaper columns. Columns are used to format a document into layouts like the columns of a newspaper. In a column flow, the story, that is the article, selected text or a section, continues from the bottom of one column to the top of the next column of the page. Newspaper columns can be created using the columns icon in the toolbar or from the format menu. This is an example of columns in a document. And you can see the text flows down one column and it continues to the next column. To create columns on an existing text, you highlight or select the text. Then from the layout menu, you click columns. In the columns list box, you select the number of columns or click on more columns. Then type the number of columns in the number of columns text box. In the width and the spacing boxes, you specify the columns widths and the space between the columns. If you need a line between the columns, you check on line between columns. And then you click OK. The following is therefore a demonstration on how to create columns in our document called Emily Swap Details. So, with our document open, what we need to do is to select the columns or the paragraphs. Select the paragraphs that you want to set into columns. Like in my case, I'm going to select paragraph 2, which I have already selected. And then once you have selected your paragraph, you click on Layout tab. Then once you are on the Layout menu, you look for columns, the part that I've already selected. So you click on the button just next to the column or next to the word column. So below there, you point there and click on column. You can then choose the number of columns you want if they are listed. But if they are not listed, you can click on more columns and then you set the number of columns you need under presets, either 1, 2, 3, etc. If you want one column to be bigger than the other, you can choose left If you want the one on the left side to be smaller or right, if you want the one on the right side to be smaller, you can select the number of columns here or type them if there are more. And then you decide the width and the spacing. So in my case, let me select 2 columns. And then under width, you can decide how many inches you want to be in between the columns, one column and the other. How big or small should they be separated? So in my case, I'll choose 2.9, or let me put 2.5, width of 2.5, the width of 2.5. And then the spacing, I can retain as 1.5. Remember, you can see how the preview would look like at a preview. Then if you want your selection or the columns to be applied on only the text you have selected, you can click on selected text. But if you want the entire document to be as you have said, or the paragraphs to be formatted into the number of columns you have specified, you click on the whole document. So in my case, I'll choose selected text. If you want the columns to be equal, you choose equal column width. If you don't want them to be equal, you uncheck, and then you can specify which one you want to be bigger than the other, like column 2 and the spacing. But in my case, let me have them as equal. If you want a line in between one paragraph and the other, you click on line between. So you check this box, and you can see from the preview, we have a line in between. So let me have the line in between. Then from there, you select on, or you click on OK. There we are. We have already formatted our paragraph into 2 columns. Let me have another section. Let me format another section. The following are examples of videos you can access from the Surprise YouTube channel. I can also select these and split them into columns. So I'll select the list. Then I click on layout. I click on the columns, and then I can click 3 columns. So click 3. And you can see our list has been arranged in form of 3 columns. So that's how we work with the columns. If you want to remove the columns, you select the text whose columns you want to remove. And then you click on the layout, and then you click on the columns, and you click 1. You click 1. 1 is just like a paragraph. You can do the same under more here. So if you click 1, simply means that your text will just be as usual. A paragraph is usually like a normal single column. So I don't want that. I can click on cancel. So that's all with how you can format your text into columns. The next task we can do under page formatting is setting the page layout. Page layout is an option that lets the user specify how text will be placed on the page from the margin. By default, text starts from the top margin. To change the layout, from File menu, you click on Print. Then you choose Page Setup. Then you click the Layout tab. From the Vertical Alignment tab, you select the alignment that you want. Then you click OK. So the following is a demonstration on how to change layout in the document called MLSwap details. So while our document is open, that is MLSwap details document, we can click on the File menu. We click on File menu. So once you click on File menu, you go and click on Print. And then you click on Page Setup. Page Setup. So let's click on Page Setup. Once you have clicked on Page Setup, you can see we have several tabs. We have Margins tab, we have Paper tab, and we have Layout tab. So because we are dealing with layout, we shall click on Layout tab. Once you click on Layout tab, there are several things that you can be able to do. We have this section here, which means page. So under page, we can set the alignment that we want, and we can specify where we want that alignment to be applied to in our document. So in this case, if you click at the vertical alignment tab, you can see there's top, there is center, there is justified, there is bottom. So in my case, I can select justified. Then apply to where? To this section, or this point forward, or whole document. I can select whole document. Then once you are through, you can then click on OK. So I'll click on OK. So that is how our document will look like, as you can see from the preview. And then we can click on back to be taken back to our document. So we are back to our document. And you can see there is a change that has occurred in the way our text or our page is aligned. The text is aligned against the page. It is different from the way it was. If I click on undo, you can see how our document page 2 was looking like. And also the other part of the document. But if I redo, so that you can be able to see the change, you can see how our document is looking like, and especially page 2. So that's how we set the layout for our document. Let's now look at page setup. Page setup are the options that lets the user specify the size of the margins, the paper size, paper source, and layout. Let's begin by margins. Margins are the blank areas around the work area of a sheet of work or a sheet of paper, or the distance between the text and the edge of the paper. Page margins are used to restrict the printable area of a page. It is important to set margins properly before printing a document so as to ensure that no content is left out from being printed on a page and that no text is cut out in case the document is to be bound. The 6 types of margins that one is supposed to set before printing a document are: top margin. This is the distance of the first line of text from the top edge of the page. We have left margin, which is the distance of the left side of text lines from the left edge of the page. Then we have bottom. This is the distance of the last line of text from the bottom edge of the page. We have the right margin. This is the distance of the right text or the right side of text lines from the right edge of the page. We have the gutter. This is the space that is allotted for binding so that the text in a page will not be hidden if the document is bound. That is, to make a booklet. It's an extra space that is added to a margin for binding. So if you know that you are going to print your work or your document and bind it, it's always important that you include gutter as part of setting of the margins. So you set the gutter section so that the margin, the size of the margin is separated from the gutter space. Then we have gutter position. This is the top, left, or right position of the gutter in a document. It's not available if the document has 2 pages per sheet or has facing pages. So to set the page margins, you select the margins from the layout menu. Then select your type of margins. For example, narrow, normal, moderate, etc. Or you set your own margins by clicking on custom margins. Then enter your dimensions and margins. Then you click OK. So let's see how we can set the margins for our document by the title, Emily Swap Details. So this is what we can do. So while we are in our document, we click first of all on the layout menu. So we click on layout menu. After you click on layout menu, you can see we have margins here. So we are going to click on the margins. So we click this button here under margins. So we have several settings. So we can choose normal, which has 1 inch on top, left, bottom, and right. That means all signs have a margin of 1 inch. We can choose narrow, where margin is a little bit small, it is half an inch. Then we have moderate. If you want the top to be 1, left 0.75, bottom 1, right 0.75. We have wide, where we have a margin of 1 inch on top, left 2 inches, bottom 1 inch, right 2 inches. We have mid-range, where we have top 1, bottom 1, inside 1.25, outside 1. We also have office default. But if you are not interested with any of these, you want to set yours, you can click on custom margins. So I'll click on custom margins. So from the custom margins, you can see we have page setup here. We have page setup. So because we are setting margins, we click on the margins tab. So this is the margins tab. So you click on margins tab. Under margins, we have various settings we can set. We have top, left, gutter, if you do the binding. We have bottom, we have right, and we have gutter position based on the sign that you are going to apply your binding tool on the page. So in our case, we want to set the top to be 2, bottom 2, right 2, and left 2. So what I'll do, I'll click on top, this button here, I increase to 2. I'll do the same for my bottom. I will increase it. You do that by clicking this button until you have 2. The right, I want it to be 2, so I'll click this button as my number increases. And you can even type directly. You can click inside that space and you type the size you want yourself. So you can see I've typed it 2. If you want to set the gutter position, you can add it like 0.5. Which side do you want our gutter to be? It is left. So that's how you set your margins. And once you are really setting your margins, you click on OK. So I'll click on OK. So my dear students and the rest of the learners, you can see that the size of margins has increased from the way it was before. And even when you scroll in the document, you can see that our bottom margins have also changed, as you can see. So that's how we set our margins. And as usual, remember to click on Save to save your changes. The other task we can carry out under page formatting is to set our page orientation. Page orientation is the direction the page text is laid out on the paper, or the positioning of the page in relation to the text. The two types of page orientations are portrait and landscape. Portrait is when text is laid out across the upright page, such that the text and the graphics are printed with the longest side vertically upright, as you can see. So this is portrait. Text is flowing from up down our document in an upright position. So this is portrait. Then we have landscape. This is when text and graphics are laid out across the horizontal page in such a way that the text and graphical objects are placed with the longest side of the page placed horizontally, and the lines of text printed parallel, as you can see. So our text is arranged in this manner. So this is an example of how text is laid out on a paper in landscape orientation. So this is when text and graphics are laid out across the horizontal page in such a way that text and graphic objects are placed with the longest side of the page placed horizontally, and the lines of text printed parallel. So that's what we call landscape. So to select the orientation from the layout menu, you click orientation. Then you select the orientation that you require, either landscape or portrait. So the following is a demonstration on how to set page orientation for our document called Emily Swap Details. So to proceed from here, you first of all click on layout. So you look for layout option or layout menu and you click it. So this is our layout menu. So I'll click on layout. Once you click on layout, you look for the orientation, and this is orientation. So you click on this button here to set your orientation. So we have two types of orientations, either portrait or landscape. If you want landscape, you click. So let's click landscape and see what happens. My dear students and the rest of the learners, you can see how our document looks like in landscape orientation, especially for page 2. Remember, I have only applied it to a single page. I can also set the orientation again for page 1. So I can click anywhere within my page 1. I click on orientation and I click landscape. So you can see how our document or our pages will look like. So page 2 has also changed. What about if I click here? What happens? If I click on that section and I click landscape, so you can see, you can set the whole document into the orientation you want on specific pages, especially if you inserted a break. As you can see in our document here, there are different pages which are being treated differently because we inserted section break and the page break. And therefore, our orientation is being applied differently because we had already broken our document into sections and into pages from our previous presentation or as per my previous tutorials. But generally, you can see how our orientation or our landscape orientation will look like. But if you look on this page, this is portrait. Assuming I want to change this page to portrait, so I can click anywhere in the page or on the page, and under orientation, I click portrait. So you can see my first page and second page have changed orientation. Remember, we had a page break or a section break, and therefore that break was applied here, and therefore this page is landscape. But this other one is portrait, while the last one, or this other last one is landscape. What about if I select the entire document? If I press, for example, Control key on my keyboard and I press A, that is, if I select all the pages, what happens? Can I be able to work with orientation? No. You can see I cannot. So I can remove my selection and you can see my orientation tool is now active. So generally, that's how you can change orientation of a document or specific pages if you have certain breaks. You can also undo in case you have done some things and you want to undo by clicking on the undo button. So in case you want to undo even the orientation, you can undo by clicking on undo button. However, we are not going to do any undo for our document because this document is purely for learning purposes. Let's now proceed and do some more additional page formatting for our document by learning other tasks that we can perform with our page or on our page. So the next activity or page formatting that we can do to one document is setting the paper size. This is how big or small the page being designed is to be, depending on the paper to be used in printing the document. To set up paper size to be used in printing your document, from the layout menu, you click on size. Then you select the size of paper required from the paper size list. For example, letter A4, A3, custom size, etc. If your paper size is not listed, you can specify yours by clicking More Paper Sizes and enter dimensions in the height and width boxes under Paper tab. And then you click on OK. So the following is a demonstration on how to set paper size for the document called MLSwap details. So to set our paper size for our document, we need to click on Layout menu. So let's click on Layout menu. Once you click on Layout menu, because we are working or making settings for our paper size or the paper size we are going to be using in our printing our document, we are going to select size. So I'll click on this size button under page setup. Then from here, you can see there's a list of several sizes that have been predefined by default. We have letter, which is 8.5 inches by 11. We have tabloid, 11 inches by 17. We have legal, 8.5 by 14. All the way, we have A3 with those dimensions. We have A4. We have A5. We have Bs, etc. So if you are interested with one which is already defined with those dimensions, you select it and it is going to be applied. But if the dimensions you want are not listed, you can click on More Paper Sizes. Let's click on More Paper Sizes. Then under this page setup dialog box, we can still choose our paper sizes from this listed, but we can also specify ours, our own dimensions. So for width, you just set them here. Like I want to set my width to be 10 inches. While my height, I can set it to be 12. But you must be careful so that you use the settings for your paper size that will fit the papers you have. So you don't just set the paper size anyhow. It will depend with the paper sizes that you are going to be printing your work on, and also even the type of printer that you have. So you don't just set your own dimensions without thinking of the type of papers or the size of papers that will be having, that will be using for your printing purposes. Once you have set your paper size, you can then click on OK. So I'll click on OK. And you can see my paper size has been readjusted, and that's how we set the size of our page. Another task we can perform in formatting our page is adding or inserting what we call headers and footers. Headers are a few words or characters placed at the top of every page in a document's top margins, while footers are the few words, characters, or graphics that appear in the bottom margins of every page in a document. You can use different headers and footers on odd and even pages or for only part of the document. Headers and footers can include text or graphics, for example, page numbers, the date, a logo, title, file name, or author's name. The headers and the footers make it easy to locate information in a specific page in a document. To insert a header in your document, you click on Insert menu and choose Header. Then select a header format that you want from the list displayed. Then enter text or graphics in the text box. You can also click one of the header and the footer toolbar buttons on the header and the footer toolbar. For example, we insert a date, page number, and so on. Then click on the Close Header and Footer from the Header and Footer toolbar under Design. To insert a footer in your document, on the Insert menu, you click on the footer. Then select a footer format that you want from the list displayed. Then enter text or graphics in the text box. You can also click one of the header and the footer tools buttons on the header and the footer toolbar, for example, to insert a date, page number, and so on as your footer. Then you click on the Close Header and the Footer from the header and the footer toolbar under Design. So this is a demonstration on how you can insert headers and the footers in our document called MLSwap Details. So to insert a header or a footer in this document, we need to click on Insert menu. So I'll click on Insert menu. Once you click on Insert menu, you then look for header or footer. So we have header here and we have footer here under the header and the footer. So let's insert a header. So I'll click on header. So I'll click on that button. And then from the list we have here, we can select a header that you want with the format that we can specify. But if none is already there for you to select directly, you can click on More Header and Footer from, or More Headers from Office. Or you can click on Edit Header. Let's click on Edit Header and see what we shall get. So once you click on Edit Header, you'll be able to type your own header, as you can see. And we have already been taken to Design menu, where we have several items we can do. We have our header here still. And we have header from top, etc. So you can type our own header. So what you do, just click there and type, for example, my header will be document prepared by Mehmet AM in bracket MLSwap. So you type normally, you type, and you can even select it and format. So I can make it broad, just like normal text. I can italicize it. Then I can choose the font type I want. I can choose the font size. I can also choose the color. And then if I wanted to align it the way I want, I can click on Home or Home menu and choose, for example, right align. I can even underline my header like that. And then I can double click inside my document like that. And I will have my header already inserted. If you scroll every page, you can see my header has already been inserted. So you can insert your own header or directly choose one from the list and insert. So you click on insert, then choose the header. And then under that list which is there, you can look for any format that you want or any header style that you want, and you click it. Let's click one and see what happens. Assuming I click on a facet, or the page, what happens? You can see how our header will look like. So that's an example, and you can edit as you want. So let me undo that because I already have a header for my case. Document prepared by NameGM, and you can see that heading appears on every page in my document. So that's this what we are calling a header. This is what I'm calling a header, and it is appearing on every top of page as I have already specified. If you want to insert footer, you just click again on insert menu, and then this time round, select footer here. So I'll click on footer. And as usual, you can choose any footer of your choice. My interest now is to have my footer as a page number. So we can select a footer that has a page number. Do we see it here? If I scroll slowly, you can see if there is one. But I don't see one. So what I'll do, I'll click on Edit Footer. Edit Footer. And then, while I'm under Edit Footer, you can see that my cursor is blinking at this point. I can insert a footer of my choice. So for example, I can include my footer here to be a page number. So I can choose the format I want from page number here to be my footer because I'm editing footer. And then I can specify bottom of page, and then I scroll. Then I can choose this format here. So that is my footer. So in this case, my footer is also a page number, but I can also edit it the way I want. I can add something else, including a picture. So if I want to insert a picture as part of my footer, I just need to click on pictures and design menu. And you can see all these options here. All these options here are under header and the footer. So there are tools under header and the footer. And for that reason, I can insert a picture as my footer. So click on pictures there. So I can choose a picture as my footer. Like I can choose that one. I click it and I click insert. And then, of course, you can resize it so that it fits as a footer, so that it does not occupy the entire page, so that it does not occupy the entire page. But as you can see, some of these elements are a little bit big, and therefore, when you are choosing picture or picture as your footer, you need to be a little bit careful. So let me undo my picture because it is occupying a lot of space. And again, why do I need a picture with my footer in this document? I don't need it. So you can even type anything of your choice here, but let me retain my footer as page number. However, you can even format it. You can click on broad, you can italicize, you can even underline. So that's how you can edit a footer. And now you can see that each of our documents has a footer at the bottom. And this footer is page number. So that's how we work with the headers and footers. Another activity we can do on our page is having what we call page borders and the shading. A border is a line, a strip, or a pattern around the edges of a page or a table used to enhance it, to make it attractive and appealing to the readers. For example, this is a page border, but this one is not a page border, but a paragraph border. So it's a line or a strip or a pattern around the edges of a page or a table. Shading is the process of using various colors or lines in a portion of a page or a table in order to give a certain impression. For example, to emphasize some information. To apply a border to selected text, table, or a page in a document, you do it as follows. Select the text, cells, table, or page to be added border to. Then click on Design menu and select Page Borders. Click on Borders tab to add borders to text or table, or click Page Border tab to add the page border. Then select all the required options under borders or page borders under setting, style, amongst others. Then under preview, click the diagrams signs or use the buttons to apply or remove the borders. Select the scope of application and apply to, and then you click on OK. To shade any portion of text, table, or paragraph, you click or select the text or objects or cells. Then from the Design menu, you click Page Borders and then click on Shading tab. Then select the options you want and apply to select the option for what you want to add shading to. And then once you are through, click OK. So the following is a diagram on how we can apply borders and shading in our document called Emily Swap Details. While in this document called Emily Swap Details, we can be able to add page borders and also do shading by clicking on Design menu, this one, Design menu. So you click on Design menu. After clicking on Design menu, you can proceed and click on Page Borders, this page borders. So you click on Page Borders. So click on Page Borders, or you double click. After you double click on Page Borders, we have borders and shading, a dialog box there. So for us to do or to add page border, you click on Page Border. But if you want to add to specific text, you can just click on Borders. To add to our whole page, Page Border. To do shading, you click on Shading. So because I want to add some borders to my text, I can click on Borders tab there. And then you can see we must have a paragraph selected. So I'll cancel this one. I select a paragraph first. So I want to select this paragraph. I want to select this paragraph, the second paragraph here, this one. And then I'll repeat the process. I'll click on Design menu. Then I click on Page Borders. And then from here, I'll click on Borders tab and choose a border for my selected text as I want. Let me click on 3D, this one, at the setting. And you can see we have preview where we can see how our document will look like. If you want your borders to be only included on specific signs, you can tap on the side you want to remove shading too, as you can see in my preview here. You can even remove the one at the bottom. So you can see my borders will be applied on this side and this side. But I want my borders to be around the entire paragraph. Or let's have it on two sides only. So in that case, I can retain my borders as they are. Then you choose the style you want. For example, I can choose that one. Or under styles, you can select the style of your choice. Let me choose this style. You can also have color for it, a color for that paragraph. So I can choose this color for my border. Then on apply to, you can apply to the paragraph or to the text. Of course, I've already selected the paragraph, so I will retain it as paragraph and click OK. So you can see that we have borders, but is our color appearing? I don't see it. So we can repeat that. We can repeat the process. We click on Design, click on Page Borders, and then we choose our style. We want a thicker style, so I'll choose that style. Then I choose my color. Then I remove the upper and the bottom side from preview. Then I click on this section only. Now, anyway, let's click on Borders first tab, Borders tab first. Then we can click our style. I'll choose that one. Then I'll select my color, that one. And then you can choose the signs that you want the borders to be added to. I can have the two signs that way. And then I click on OK. So you can see our border has been added to the selected paragraph, but it seems also to have been applied across the page. So I can remove this other one. So this happened because I have chosen the whole document, apply to whole document. So I can remove whole document and retain, apply to this section. I click OK. So is it appearing in the whole document? Yes. So it's as if our application for the borders, because of the settings that I already have in my document, is affecting the entire document. What about if I select apply to text? What happens? Then I click OK. You can see it is also applied to each of the texts. You can also undo. Let's try the formatting on another section. So assuming I want to put borders there, under design, I click on design. Then remember the settings we have been carrying out. If you are checking carefully, they are on the page borders option. So if I click on page borders again there, and I click borders, let's see where it will be applied to. Then I can choose box. Then I can choose a pattern, a style of my choice. This time I can choose this one. Then the color, I can choose blue. And then apply where? I choose apply to paragraph. And then I click OK. So you can see I have now been able to successfully apply borders to only the paragraph that I have selected. So that's how you can add border to a specific paragraph. Let's proceed and add border to the entire page. So you click on Design menu, then click on Page Borders. While on this dialog box for borders and shading, we select Page Border. So I'll click on Page Border. Under Page Border, you can make a choice of a setting that you want. Under Style, you can choose the style of your choice. Under Color, you can choose the color of your choice. Under width or thickness, you can choose there. If you want to add, you can choose from here. And then you apply the whole document, or first page only, or all except the first page. So let's choose one. Let me choose add. First of all, let me choose box. And then the add that I want, let me choose one which is the globe. And then apply where? Apply the whole document. And I can click on OK. So my dear students and the rest of the learners, you can see that I have added a border to a paragraph and a page border to the entire document. So that's how you add borders to a paragraph, as you can see here, and borders to the page, the entire document, as you can see. Let's now do the shading. If you want to shade some section of my document, for example, if I want to shade this paragraph, if I want to shade this paragraph here, this one, you select the paragraph that you want to shade. Click on Design. Then, under the Design menu, we can go to the page borders. So you click on the page border. So click on the page borders. Once you are under borders and the shading dialog box, you click on shading. So we click on shading. Then we can specify the color that we want to fill or we want to use for our shading. So I can choose this color. So you click it. Under preview, that's how our document will look like. Then apply where? To a text or a paragraph. So I want to apply to the paragraph that I've already selected. And then you click on OK. So my dear students and the rest of the learners, you can see that I've shaded a paragraph. What about if I want to add page color to the entire document? What will I do? In other words, if we want to apply a certain color across the entire document, let's see, can we find anything under borders and shading to apply the whole document? So if I click on shading there, you can see what we have is paragraph. But can we fill the entire document without selecting anywhere? So let's see. Click on design. Click on borders and shading. Click on shading. Assuming under fill, we choose a color like that one. Where will it be applied? To a paragraph. If you click OK, that is being applied to a paragraph. So if you want a certain color to appear in the entire document, you don't need to use the shading for a single paragraph. You can apply across. So you click on page borders and the shading, and you can see that goes to a single paragraph. So if you want to add color to the entire document, then what we need to do, we shall carry out another activity, not now, and borders and the shading. So we can do what we call page color. So click on design, then click on page color, and choose the color that you want. For example, I can choose, you can see as you move your mouse across various colors, your document color is changing. So I can click on that color, and you can see our entire document has been added a certain color. So that's how you can add page color. So just as I have said, we can also change background color or texture for our document. One displays backgrounds that you add with the background command on the format menu in web layout view only. To add or change background color or texture, one on design menu, you point to page color and then click the color you want, or click more colors to see additional color choices. Then click fill effects to select special effects such as gradient, texture, pattern, and a picture. Then select the options that you want and click OK. So the following is a demonstration on how we can change background color or texture in our document called the swap details, which of course is part of the other example that I've already shown you. So that's how we proceed. So with our document open, we just need to click on design menu. So we click on design. We click on design. Then when we are there, we look for page color, this one. So we shall click on page color. Then from the list we are given, we have the background colors, just as I've demonstrated in the previous example. But now I can choose fill effects. So I can click on fill effects, or let's first of all click on more colors. Once you click on more colors, you can see the colors you can apply. But I'm not interested with that because we have already filled our document with a certain color. So what I'll do, I'll click again on page color, then I click on fill effects, this one. So under fill effects, you can see I have various options. I have gradient, texture, pattern, picture. So if you want your background to be a certain picture or a certain gradient, you choose what you want. Let's see, if I click on one color, then I choose a color of choice here. That's how my background will look like. Then you can apply the styles, either vertical, horizontal, diagonal up, etc. You can also specify texture if you want. Like you can click on a texture of your choice, and this is how your background will look like. All other texture. You can also choose a pattern that you want, and you select the colors that you want to combine. For example, that's an example. You can choose picture that you want. So in our case, I'm interested with a pattern. So what I'll do, I'll click on Change Color, Fill Effects. Under Fill Effects, I'll click on Texture. I'm interested with texture, so click on Texture and select a texture of my choice. Let me choose this texture, this one. Or let me choose this one. Then you click on OK. And you can see my document's background are changed from color, and now it is a texture. But you can also change. Click on Design, click on Change Color, Fill Effects, and choose any other. Or even a picture. Let me see how a picture look like. If you click on Picture, with your Fill Effect, and then click on Select Picture. And then you choose a picture that you want. You browse, you are storing media for a picture. For example, if I pick this one as my picture, I click on Insert. This is how my document will look like. I cannot even be able to read my text, which was there before. Oh, no. So, if you have to apply pictures to your background, you have to be very careful because its details may override the information in your document. So let me undo by clicking on undo. Then I can remain with my texture. But still it's not looking attractive. So why don't I change it to a color? Or I undo, I be left with the one which was there before. So to undo, I'll click on undo button. Good. I'm comfortable with this one myself. I'm comfortable with this background. So I'll click on save. So that's how you can format your background in your document. The next activity that we can have as part of our formatting for a document is to add footnotes and endnotes. A footnote is placed at the end of a page containing the reference mark and is usually used to expand the text and give detailed comments or explanations. It's placed in the footer section of a page. An endnote, on the other hand, is placed at the end of the document or at the end of a section and is used for citing sources used as reference for the document you are creating. To insert a footnote or an endnote, you do the following. Place the insertion point at the relevant section. That is where the reference mark will be placed. Then choose Insert Footnote or Insert Endnote from the References menu. Click at the section where the footnotes or endnotes have been placed and add the notes for information about something in your document for each. The following is an example of how you can insert footnotes and endnotes in our document called Emily Swap Details. So to insert footnote in our document, you click on References menu. And then once you click on References menu, you look for insert footnote. So I'll click on insert footnote. But before you do that, you must click at the point where you want to add some more information at the footnote. For example, I can select the word ICT here. So I can select ICT, for which I want to add more information as my footnote. And then I'll click on references. I click on insert footnote. You can see in my document, I have footnote here where the cursor is blinking from, and it is 1. And I also have footnote here, and the one which I had selected. So it means in my footnote, I'll be explaining more information about this footnote here. And therefore, where there is 1, I can write ICT in full. I can write information and communication technology. So that's how you can add a footnote, more information to your document. So when somebody comes across this number here, this 1, he or she can check for additional information at the footnote by double-clicking on that footnote. You just double-click and you'll be taken at the bottom there for additional information. Let me add another one. So if I want to add another additional information for skills, I select it, then I click on references, and then I type insert footnote. You can see my footnotes are being numbered. Now it is 2. So additional information for it will be here. So skills in this case, I can write it as adaptational, or abilities to cope with life challenges. So you can see that's how we add footnotes. What about an endnote? What's an endnote? So I can insert an endnote by clicking on insert endnote somewhere. So I can click on insert. I can double click on insert endnote. Where is our endnote appearing? It is going to appear. I can undo first. You can see endnote is appearing on the last page, last section of the last page in our document. So endnote is where I can explain some more information. Like for example, I can write that to be able to access my videos from YouTube, search for a MediSwap ICT or a MediSwap life skills while in YouTube. So that's how you can add at the end note, and end note 2. our document. You can see our endnote, number 1 is here. So if somebody clicks or answers an endnote within a document, it's at the end of the day added at the last section, last page at the bottom. So if somebody wants to see the areas here, like motivation and inspiration areas, and then somebody clicks on this, or double clicks on this endnote, he or she will get that additional information here. Usually, this can be a reference, like a book or an author for a certain material. That's what we usually include as endnotes. So I can change, instead of having this statement here, I can write an example of endnotes, like those areas are as covered by the JM. My M may be accessible at or whose address is Emily Swap at gmail.com. Those areas are as covered by MemJM, accessible, or whose contact is emilyswap at gmail.com. So that will be our endnote. You can even format it as you want. So that's how we add footnotes and endnotes in our document. And you save your changes. The last thing we can do under formatting our page or our document is on creating a table of contents. Creating a table of contents. A table of contents, abbreviated as TOC, is a list of topics in a document and the pages they appear. It is placed in the first pages of a document. In order to generate a table of content, you must first mark entries by defining styles. So to generate a table of content, you turn to the page you want to insert table of content. Then on References menu, click on Table of Contents, and then click on the table formats of choice, or click on the Custom Table of Contents. Then select Format of Choice and General, and select or set other options as needed. Set the Table of Content properties and click OK. So the following is a demonstration on how we can generate a table of content for our document called Emily Swap Details. So before we generate a table of content, we need to format our document in a way that we shall be able to generate our table of content automatically. So before we generate a table of content, you must have certain level of headers. So I want this to be the heading of my table of contents. So I'll select this as my overall heading on my table of contents. And then I can set it as heading 1. As heading 1. But you can see that one is interfering with my format. So let me choose something else. So I can, for example, this drop cap is giving us some challenges. So I can remove it first. I want to format this document. But it is, you can see, what is it doing? Let's undo and see. If I redo, what happens? Our text still remains. So I want to format this document in a better way. So what we shall do, I will undo. Let me leave this heading as it is so that we don't interfere with our document. And then I can have other headings. For example, this one, I can have a heading here, which is, this is explanation of what? Emily Swapai's YouTube channel covers various topics in the computing field. So this one is, I can have it as introduction to Emily Swap channels. And then I make this to be a header. I make this one to be a header. I want to separate this section completely from the drop cap so that it does not interfere with our selections. So I can make this a header. I will select it, then choose heading 1. So that will be my first header. And I've given it level 1. I can also have others. For example, to access any of the videos. So here I can add another header, process of accessing the content. So I can make this my second header. So it will be under the introduction, so I can make it header 2. I can make that to be my header 2. Don't worry with how my document looks, because I've applied very many formattings at the same time. And then here, I can have another header. I can have another header here. I can have another header here where I have examples of videos. So I can have another heading like examples of videos. And then I can make this also header 2, examples of videos. You can even broad it. So with those few examples, once you have various levels of your headers, or not header, but headings, then you can be able to have a table of content. So in this document of mine, I want to add a page, a new page. So I can click where I want to have a page break, like I want to have a page break before my heading, or I insert a new page. Let me insert a new page. So I can click on insert, then page, so blank page. So in my document, I can insert new page. So I have inserted a new page, but I can see the drop cap has gone somewhere else. So I can have my document like that. So let me remove this drop cap from here. And then I can delete any other text. So here I can now insert my table of content. So what you do, you click on references menu. Under references menu, you click on insert table of contents. That is, you look for table of contents. You look for table of contents and click it. So I'll click under table of contents. Then you choose the table of content format that you want. Table of content format that you want. So I'll choose one which is already there. I'll choose this one. So I can click on table of contents. And you can see a table of contents has already been added in my document. It has been generated automatically. So this is our table of content. So you can see we have introduction to MLSwap channels. It's in page 3. In page 2, we have process of accessing the content in page 3 and the examples of videos. So what you need to note, the most important information that you need to bear in mind is for you to be able to generate a table of content, this table of content automatically. What you need to do is within your document, have the certain or various headings for your document, various headings like titles for topics and subtopics, like what I've done. Like this is a heading, and examples of videos is also another heading. And always remember to specify the levels, just as I have done. And that's how you are able to generate your table of contents. That's how you are able to generate your table of contents. And with that, my dear students and the rest of the learners, we have come to the end of the presentation on page formatting. You can now proceed and listen to part 8 of 11, in which I will be presenting on tables creation and manipulation. Congratulations for learning part 7 of 11 on page formatting in a document. You can access other parts in word processing series, as well as other computer or ICT videos by clicking or tapping on MLSwap ICT YouTube channel below this video. To subscribe to the channel, tap on subscribe button below this video in YouTube if it's not currently reading as subscribed. For any further correspondence, kindly write it to us through the email mlswap@gmail.com. Thank you very much for listening to me. Let's meet in the next tutorial, which is part 8 of 11. And God bless.